Okay, we're all set and the session is being recorded at the moment. All right, we're done. Let's kick this one off. Welcome everybody to the last webinar of our here IBM Webinar Series in 2020 in Oceania. And yeah, this webinar we will be cover some exciting topics, and we're going to integrate location intelligence with one of IBM's exciting technologies and platforms called NodeRED. And we will be covering what NodeRED is all about and how you can all use it for different purposes. So yeah, that's the introductory slide, and with that, I'm going to introduce the hosts. So my name is Sam Emir Ibrahimi, and I'm the Developer and Community Relations Lead for HERE Technologies here in Oceania, and I'm based in Melbourne. And with me today, I've got Vidhan Bonsal from our Global Developer Relations team, and Vidhan is the Senior Developer Evangelist for HERE Technologies, and he's joining us from India. Welcome, Vidhan. And we were originally going to have developer Steve Kuchin from IBM developer team, but yeah, something urgent came up for him, and he unfortunately can't join us today. I'm hoping he can manage things and join us like halfway through the webinar. But if he can't, yeah, he sent his apologies earlier today to you guys. As I mentioned, this is one of the webinars of a series of the last webinar of the series of webinars we ran this year. The first one was an introductory session on HERE Technologies and our offerings and location services. The second one, we covered an exciting topic of how integration of location technologies and artificial intelligence can help us with specific use cases, and we looked at image recognition use case that you can take a photo of a food and pass it through IBM and HERE Technologies offerings and see what sort of businesses and restaurants and cafes offer the same food in your nearby environment. And in the second last one, we demonstrated an application, a combined application of location technologies and IBM IoT and IBM Cloud. And it was kind of interesting, thanks to Vidhan's and IBM guys' expertise. We demonstrated something really exciting, and we got a lot of information from an IoT device and passed through a few platforms and generated results that help us better understand the situation with a patient and direct the emergency responders or the ambulance to them to help them out. And today, in the last part, we're gonna integrate location intelligence with IBM NodeRED, which I'm not gonna talk any more about it, and let's see what it's all about. Vidhan, let's do it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit about HERE Technologies. You may or may not be familiar with our company. I'm just going to give you a brief background about them, and then we can dive deep into the IBM NodeRED and the combination of that with the location technologies. So HERE is basically the world-leading location platform owned by a group of German car manufacturers such as Audi, BMW, Daimler, and a bunch of other tech giants like Bosch and Continental, Intel, Pioneer, Mitsubishi, and NTT Data. So the vision and the mission of the company is to enable an autonomous world in the today and in the future by building a digital representation of the reality and complement that with a complete set of data and an ecosystem of data throughout HERE platform that allow the data providers, consumers, and developers to work hand in hand to address real-world problems and challenges through the power of location information. We've been sitting in the #1 position in the world for the past 3 consecutive years over a lot of other companies that you're familiar with, and location data and services is our main expertise and um, our core business. And as you can see on the screen, we offer a lot of maps and location services that includes, but is not limited to, traffic, transit information, geovisualization services, indoor navigation and maps, or outdoor maps, or that you can use them and customize them for that suit for your purpose. We have geocoding and reverse geocoding services and routing, and this is just a subset of them. So if you're interested to learn more about what HERE is all about, go back and watch the first webinar of this series. That it's basically an hour and a half of introduction to the company and what our offerings are. So all these services are available for usage on the web, like using JavaScript or RESTful APIs, or you can use them in your Android or iOS development projects. Exciting thing about it is that we have a freemium plan for developers, and up to 250,000 transactions, basically API calls per month, is free of charge. And like at the end of the month, that number gets resold and you get a fresh set of 250,000 transactions a month for the next month. And if you're building a mobile application, you will have allowance up to 5,000 monthly mobile users. Vidhan, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, Sam, are you sharing your screen? Because I cannot see it.
Oh, I'm not sharing screen.
Yeah, now audience view says that here IBM Webinar Series Part 4.
Oh, okay. I need to let me change the presenter, which is me. Can you see?
Yeah, now it's perfect.
Okay. Ah, that's a bummer. I had exciting slides before this. Anyways, so if you're using our mobile SDKs for mobile development, you can use them for free up to 5,000 monthly users as well. And when you sign up for our developer account for the freemium plan, you don't have to pay anything, and you don't even need to enter your credit card during the registration. So it's basically your name and email address and where in the world that you're residing. So that's pretty much it before, and then you can basically start. And if you want to register for an account today, which probably you will need to if you wanted to follow the Vidhan's demonstration later, I encourage you to go to this link, bit.ly/here_IBM. I'll keep it on the screen for a second if you want to take note. All right. So as I mentioned, the vision of our company is to enable an autonomous world. And when you're thinking about the autonomous world, it's all about senses. It's all about our eyes and ears out there that are in the cars, are in the buildings, they're installed in the traffic lights, and in so many other devices that you are quite familiar with. And when it comes down to it, the IoT or Internet of Things solutions grab the data from these remote sensors and mix and match them with other technologies and generate useful information for the users, and then they can use them for their specific users. And if I go to the next slide, you can see some of these use cases, such as manufacturing, logistics and transport, smart energy, smart mobility, the applications in the smart cities and smart buildings, like looking at smart consumption of electricity or other sort of utilities, and all the way to precision farming that you can basically optimize your activities on the farm, and also like to produce like a better crops or like the output more efficiently. And these are just some examples. And when it comes down to realizing the IoT solutions and creating useful information, the developers that create those solutions need useful tools, and the whole point of us using tools is is to enable people to use we want to make sure that people actually use it. So in terms of the development thing approaches, the easier the development tools, the better for the developers, and they can realize more useful solutions for people. And I'm sure you've heard of many programming languages or platforms that developers and other people can use to build useful solutions. And if you look at this diagram on the screen, so there's one side is the level of complexity, and the horizontal axis is the level of coding required. Some of the programming languages and tools that you can see up there, they require a lot of programming, and also the complexity of using these tools is very high. And on the bottom right side, there are tools and platforms such as IFTTT and Zapier. They barely use any programming, and they're just dialog box driven sort of applications that you can build pre-programmed stuff and connect them with each other and generate outputs. But the aim for today is to look at the middle ground. We're looking at flowchart-based modeling tools such as IBM's NodeRED or Appian, that you can easily use them and connect all these nodes that Vedant will explain to you shortly, and to create a workflow that does something, and then you can mix and match this workflow with other parts of your overall solution to create to support use cases. What is an IBM NodeRED? It's essentially, if I want to simplify it, it's a visual programming tool and can be used to wire together hardware devices or APIs, or even you can customize certain nodes and build your own function and throw it in the mix and create very complicated application in an easy way. It was originally designed and developed by IBM 2013, which was pretty exciting. And then they decided to open source this platform for the community to expand and scale it to and build useful nodes for it that other people can use easily. And the exciting thing about it is it's a browser-based editor, so you don't really need to install anything unless you want to have it on your device or your client side. And it looks like something like this. So there's a canvas in the middle, and there's a set of toolbox and node sort of library that you can drag and drop and just connect them with each other like this. So in a simple way, so this is basically an HTTP sort of server that the requests come in, and some processes and functions are applied to it, and it creates an HTTP end node or endpoint that people can access it and grab this information. And it is as simple as that. So as I mentioned, you can run it and install it and run it locally or on an IoT device, like a Raspberry Pi or something similar, or you can run an instance on the cloud, which Vedant is gonna show you how to use an already existing IBM NodeRED instance in the cloud, and we can work with that for the rest of the webinar. And I was originally gonna talk through these slides to give you an intro. What is a flow? What is a node? What are the ports and messaging between the nodes? But I guess Vedant is in a better position, and he can take you through these structures as he's explaining about a specific use case that he's going to demonstrate today. So I think with no further ado, I'm gonna pass it on to Vedant to show you the exciting stuff as opposed to me just talking. So Vedant, over to you, and guys, enjoy.
Thank you, Sam. And
It's
hello,
gonna
everyone.
pass on the presenter mode to you.
Yeah. Okay, now I can share my screen. Thank you. Let me know if you can see my screen. I think you can.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm going to close this. Yeah. I'm Vidhan Bhosle. I'm based out of India, and I'm evangelist with Here Technologies. So, what are we going to build today? Or what I'm going to show you what we have already built and how you can use it, how you can start it, and how you can integrate Twitter. You can integrate some of the intelligence services or intelligence which we can provide as a company, as Here Technologies, and then how you can see all those things on a simple map, right? Basically, use case is quite simple and quite effective. All you have to do is you have to go to this link, which Sam will share with you. It's a GitHub link of NodeRED here, and created by uh, I think Masa, right? Okay. If you look at the output that we are targeting, this is exactly what we are targeting. Right? I'm going to show you in a while, right, the live demo and how we built it. But this is what we are targeting. Basically, we are going to have a bunch of tweets, right, which we are going to show on a map. And how are we going to show it? Right? We are going to get the address, or in a way, say that you are based out of Australia, you are in Sydney, and you're tweeting something on a topic. Let's say that you're tweeting on COVID-19. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab all the tweets which are on the subject or the topic COVID-19, and then we'll have your location in a way that you have shared with us, or the Twitter, that okay, you are based out of Sydney. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pass it on to NodeRED. We're going to convert it, or we get the Sydney, we'll pass it to our geocoding API, and we'll get the lat long, and then we'll pass lat long message content, that is the text or the tweet, and the username. All of these, we are going to pass it on to a map, and you can see it, right? So that is our use case. So there are a lot of things that you'll be requiring doing this. The number one ingredients, you can say that, which will be required for this is called our IBM account. Basically, you'll need an IBM account for this. Okay, it's quite easy to create one, right? You need cloud. You have to go to cloud.ibm.com. I think Sam will be able to share with you. Sam, kindly share the link. And once you have created that account, keep it with you, right? I'll show you what to do next. Okay. Now, after IBM account, another thing that you will be requiring is, of course, a Twitter account, and that too a developer account for Twitter. Now, let me show you how it looks like. This is how a Twitter developer account looks like. You'll have to apply for acquiring the keys, and it might take time. It might take days. It might take hours. It depends on them, right? Okay, so if you're not able to do it with me, with us, then don't worry. This video is already getting recorded, and apart from that, you have the GitHub link repo, and you can go there. You can grab all the information and you can build it the way we are doing it today. Now, the things that we will be requiring for this is we will be requiring the API key and secret. I can show you mine. There's nothing much. I'll delete it later. Don't worry about that. So these are the two things that we'll be requiring. And if you scroll down, you will require the access token and secret. So these are the four things that will be required. And I have already saved it here. So you don't need a bearer token, right? Unless until you want to apply the OAuth and all those things, right? Otherwise, you don't need it. You need access token secret, access token, API key, and API key secret. That's it. So keep it with you, save it somewhere, because that is something that we are going to pass on into our NodeRED. So we are done with cloud.ibm account. You have to have developer account. The last thing that you'll be requiring for the ingredient is basically a here developers account, right? And it's quite easy to create one. Let me show you. All you need to do is you need to go to the link which Sam will be sharing with you all. Go there, simply sign up. As Sam has mentioned that if you are going to sign up for a freemium account, you don't have to provide your card details. You don't have to pay for anything, right? You get a certain number of calls every month for free, right? And it is basically our one-stop shop for all the location and maps-based needs. So it's quite a fun way. If you are interested in location, if you are interested in data analytics based on location, if you want to have fun with maps, then I think this is one of the best account that you can have, the freemium one, right? And later on, if you have the requirement, you can move to the pro one, right? So all you need to do is you need to provide the first name, the last name, your email, You have to generate your own password. Excuse me. Sorry for that. And you have to check that you're not a bot. Once you have created this account, simply go to the developer.here.com website and you can simply sign in, or you can simply log in, right? And you'll have to acquire one thing from there, right? Okay, so once you log in, my credentials are already saved here. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Now, if once you log in, what you're going to see is you're going to see a project page, right? Now, your project will say freemium, but I have edited my project name, so you can do it, right? Um, the next thing that is going to be in front of you once you click your project is your credentials page. Now, here is where all the magic happens. All the things which you need to get started with here, maps, is here, right? Okay, so you can edit the project name. It's up to you. See, my account is also a freemium one. Okay, and what you need to do is you need to scroll down. You'll see that you have a bunch of options, right? One of the options is JavaScript. If you scroll down further, you have option for getting the REST API key. If you scroll furthermore, you have the SDKs for Android and iOS and hybrid application development like Flutter. If you scroll down more, you'll get some premium edition, right? Okay. And if you scroll down at the bottom, you'll see here data layers. Right? That is something different. That's basically for city-wise data or deeper data to build something very interesting. Like that is another story. Let's scroll up. What you need to do is you need to acquire the API key, and the one that we need is REST API key. All you need to do is you need to create on or click on create API key, and you'll see that you can create two API key in a freemium account, and you simply have to copy it, right? So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to keep it with me. So these are the things which are required for you. Okay, so I got the API key also with me. Now, once you have all the ingredients, next thing that you need to do is you need to start building it. The first thing that you need to do is, as Sam has told, that when you're working with NodeRED, NodeRED can run on your local machine. That's quite easy. You can run on a small device like Raspberry Pi. Right? That's again you can do. And the third option is what we are going to go with. That is, we're going to run the NodeRED on cloud, and that cloud is IBM Cloud. So all you need to do is you need to sign into your Cloud or IBM account. I'm going to do that. And you'll see a bunch of information here. All you need to do is you need to look for NodeRED. And if you ask me what NodeRED is basically a visual programming tool through which you can create or you can connect your APIs, you can connect to your IoT devices, and you have to do a very minimum amount of or a very minimum coding is required for this. So that is one of the amazing thing about this. You have to go to the catalog. You have to look for the catalog in cloud.ibm.com, and in the search catalog search bar, you have to search for Node. If you type Node, you'll get the option NodeRED. Right? Basically, we are going to create an app, NodeRED, and we're going to run it on, I think it's, we are running it on Cloud Foundry. You get different options. It's up to you which one you want to choose. But what I have done is I have created an app and I'm running it on Cloud Foundry. Okay, so I have already created this, right? So I'm going to show how it looks like. So basically, when you create a NodeRED app, what it does is it in the background, it creates a cloud-end database where all the data is stored, and the front end, your NodeRED app is running on whatever you choose, right? Kubernetes or OpenShift, whatever you choose, Cloud Foundry is going to run on there. Now, this is how my Cloud Foundry NodeRED application looks like. It's named as Node 1, right? And you can see that it's Cloud Foundry app. So it's basically running on Cloud Foundry. If you scroll down, then you'll see that they'll find details about continuous delivery. So it's basically building a CI/CD pipeline, and there it is doing all the stuff. So you don't have to worry about this. To be honest, once you start creating it, you simply have to provide details and start clicking some buttons, and you have to wait. You don't have to worry about what is happening in the background. IBM Cloud is going to handle all those things. Once you're done with this, once your NodeRED app is built, all you have to do is you have to launch it. And once you launch it, it's going to look like this. Now we have our flow here, but for you, the new app will look with a minimal amount of flow, right? That is this detail, but we have created our own for this particular webinar/workshop. Now, if you look at the NodeRED, you'll see a lot of information. First of all, it is a browser-based application. So that's one very good thing about this, right? Because it's easy to run. You can run it anywhere. And when I compare it, I find it quite similar to your IPython notebook, right? Which is basically you can run it on, it also runs on the browser, right? And it's quite easy to work with. So similarly, NodeRED also runs on the browser. It's quite easy to work with. On the left, you'll find the nodes, and these are the nodes which we need to put here. This is the flow screen in the middle. Excuse me. And whatever node you want, whether you want an injection node, you want to inject some data, you want a node for HTTP requests in or out, it's there. You want to perform an MQTT call, right? Instead of HTTP protocol, you want to use MQTT protocol, which is basically an amazing protocol that we use a lot in IoT. You can simply scroll down and you can look for it, and you simply have to grab it and drop it. That's it. We don't need it, so I'm going to delete it. So I'm pressing delete button on my keyboard. Once you have dropped these nodes, you can connect them. Right? All you need to do is you need to press here and drag your cursor and put it to the other end of the other node. Right? Now, a lot of times, that is what we are doing. We will be requiring some nodes which are not there by default. So those nodes we need to acquire. If you go back to our GitHub repository, you'll see that there are two nodes which we will be requiring. Right? You simply copy this, and you can go back to your NodeRED instance, and you'll see that at the right, you have a hamburger icon. Simply click on this, and you can import a node. We're going to do that. But before that, you simply go to Manage Palette, and you can search for the node that you want to install. So I'm going to click on Install. I'm going to paste the information that I want. You simply have to click on Install, and it's going to install you these nodes. Right. So once you have all the nodes, which is basically two nodes, we are good to import what we want to create. Right. Okay. So you have to simply paste this information here and click on the search or enter key, and you'll get the node that you want to install, and you simply have to install it. And the two nodes that we are installing, if you look at it, it's called world map, which is going to give us the view that we want to see, a map. And the second is Twitter stream. Basically, it's going to handle all the Twitter related APIs or Twitter related call for us. We don't have to create anything from scratch. We're going to simply drag and drop and pass out the values. That's it. We don't have to program for it. That's the amazing thing about NodeRED. Now, if you scroll down, you'll see the architecture diagram of how we are going to work, right? So you have a user. User has the application running. That is NodeRED, right? Or it's a map, and that is connected or running on a NodeRED. And what you're seeing is the location of the person who are tweeting on a particular Twitter topic. Let's say that we talk about COVID-19, right? Okay. And how we are getting it, how NodeRED is getting it. NodeRED is getting it through Twitter API, the Twitter node that we just used, and the keys that we acquired from developer.twitter.com. And apart from that, all the data related activity or converting your simple city name or simple street name into a lat long, because we want to plot it on a map, right? And we have to have the latitude and longitude to plot these data on a map. So that is handled by here API key, which is geocoding. Right? I'm going to show you in a while. Now, this is the architecture for it, right? And if you scroll down, this is the flow and how it's going to look like. Now, all you need to do is you need to go to this link, import the flow, and simply copy this part, copy it. And once you have your application running, right, this NodeRED application, simply have to import it. Click on import, and you have to paste it, and you have to click on import. Right, that's it. That is how you import the flow in NodeRED. Okay, so if you want to build this, simply create a NodeRED app and import this. Now, if you still have confusion,
can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, I can hear you.
So the flow that people can visually see over there, So it's basically a text-based description of the nodes and their connections. And so that's what you copied from the GitHub and you pasted, and the NodeRED application automatically visualized it, right?
Uh, so basically, the details about these nodes are JSON based, right? Okay, and this JSON is being visualized. All the information of the nodes, what's the data inside it, how it's going to look like, is everything in this JSON structure, right? The size of the node, the length, right, where it's going to be situated, it's saved in the JSON information. And when we are importing it, we're importing all those information. And then when we hit the import button, it's going to visualize everything for us.
Right. Yeah. It was not. You did it very fast, and I wanted to make sure that people understood
Okay.
that the copy and pasting and importing things. Thanks for that.
And still, if you want to know how to create a NodeRED application, you can simply go to the step 1, right, which shows how to create a NodeRED application in a quite detailed way. Right. Okay. So if you look at these steps, simply have to click on create, provide your app details, right? And the second step is basically where do you want to have your server, right? So I'll suggest that once you create the account and the location that you have selected, whether it is London, whether it is Dallas, keep that location here, right? And it's going to create your cloud database for you. So if you scroll down, you simply have to deploy your app and you don't have to worry about anything. It's going to do it for you, right? And you'll have to create the key, which is going to be auto-generated. You simply have to click on new, and that's it. And you'll get the link where your NodeRED application is basically located, or the link to the browser-based link, HTTP link for the NodeRED. Okay. Now, coming back to our NodeRED, if you look at the flow here, you'll see a lot of things. The first thing is basically everything starts with the Twitter data, because we are going to get the Twitter data and then we are going to pass it on to all the nodes that we have. If you double click on this, you'll get a lot of information about this, right? Okay. Uh, First of all, you can see that you have connections. Now here is where you put your all the credentials that we acquired. Right, your consumer key, your consumer secret, your access token, your access secret. So basically, consumer key is your API key. Consumer secret is your API secret, which you can see here. Once you have it, simply save it. And then what Twitter topic you want to monitor or you want to visualize. So I'm going to keep it
So all
as
the
COVID-19.
connection information, Vidhan, people can get from the Twitter account that they created, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
This is from where we got all the information. Now,
Okay.
this Twitter account might take few hours, or it may take around 2 or 3 or 4 days. Okay, so that is something that it totally depends on how, I'm not sure how on what it depends, but sometimes it happens. So you have to have patience when you are trying to acquire the keys from Twitter.
Okay.
Now, you can define a lot of things here, right? For example, Twitter topic that we want to filter is COVID-19. The language that you want to use, if you scroll down further here, you have how many tweets you want to topic monitor per minute. I'm saying that, okay, let's monitor 1 tweet per minute. Do you want only verified tweets? You want retweets, media, all these things, which if you would have gone with a traditional way, you would have to write a complete code for. Here, you simply have to provide the values, and this is going to handle everything in the background. Once you are done with this, simply click on done, right? And you'll see that there are a lot of things which is happening. The next thing that you need to put, right? One is your Twitter stream where you need to put your data. The second place where you need to provide the data is this switch, right? Which is basically where you need to provide your API key that we just acquired from developer portal. So these are two places where you need to provide your values which you have acquired from Twitter, one, and second from developer portal of here, right? Okay, now what's basically happening here in the switch? So whatever data we are getting from Twitter, we are saving it in a different variable, you can say that, which is easy to use for us and through which we can do a lot of different tasks. Like, for example, the location that user has provided, we are saving it as message.query. Right? The username, we are saving it as message.username. So this is for our use of programming or looking at the data. And the payload text that we're getting is storing as text, and the API key we are storing here. Now, one of the reasons that we store
Before you
things here.
continue, sorry to interrupt. That might be useful for the attendees that you can clarify what a payload is.
Uh, Payload is basically, you can say that your data, right? Whatever data you have or you're going to pass it on, it puts it into a payload. You can say that it's kind of a bundle, right? If you look from the Java perspective, it's kind of a
Yeah,
bundle which takes all the data and keeps inside it. And then you can pick out all those things. Say, for example, you have a payload which contains location, contains first name, last name, latitude, longitude, all, and
right.
you want to call that data. All you need to do is payload.location. You simply have to call it like that.
Right. And that payload is pretty much the main part that you're interested in the message that is passed on from the Twitter stream node to the switch node that we're working with. Is that right?
To show you how it looks like. Okay.
All right.
So I'm going to enable this debug node. Now these are the debug node, which is quite helpful. Hey, debug is always helpful. So I'm going to enable it. I'm going to deploy this, and I'm going to go to debug, and we'll see the data. I'm going to clear this. Okay, so these are the payloads which are coming in. I'm going to pause this, and let's explore one of the payload. And this is a payload. And if you look at the
So that
payload,
is the message, and within the message, there is a payload. Okay.
yeah, so basically it's a
Yeah.
complete data object. And this data object contains one thing. The first thing that it contains is basically payload, right? So
Mhm.
everything in Twitter, when you call this API, when you call the values, is inside payload. Now you can see that it has a date when it was created with timestamp, date timestamp. You have a unique ID, like you have the text message that you want, and the source link where this is coming from, right? And if you look at the more useful information, you can explore the user. Right? You have the name of the person who is sending it, and this is the Twitter ID of the person. And you have see the location, Australia, NSW. What does
Yeah,
it
New
stand
South
for?
Wales.
New South Wales, right? Okay.
Yeah.
If you scroll down, you'll see that, okay, description about the person, it seems. Right, scroll down, the following information. We don't need all this information, but you can take out all this information. It's up to you. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It has geo. Now, a lot of time people tag locations, so you can get that tag here, but no, this particular user is, they have not tagged it. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not getting the coordinates also and place. If you scroll down, you get all these information. So we are not interested in these much information. We simply want few of the information, right? Okay, let's see what is the information that we're looking for. Now, if you move further, like, let's go to the switch. Now, this switch is basically simply acquiring the query. Now, what does this query contain? Right? It has the information in the previous node. This query is basically the user's location. Now, when you tweet something, many times you provide your location, like I'm in, say, in Bangalore, in India. If I provide that location, you can read it here. If I don't, that will be empty, right? So you'll see a lot of tweets which will have no location or the null value when it comes to the location. So you have payload dot, let's see for the user, payload dot user dot location. I'm going to scroll down again. Now here the location is New South Wales, Australia, right? So this is the value that we are basically acquiring and saving it in query, okay? And this is something that we are interested in, right? Let's see. I'm going to enable the query and let's see how many locations we get. I'm going to deploy it again, and I'm going to delete these nodes. You'll see a lot of null queries. Just a sec. Just a minute. Okay, if you explore this, I'm going to stop this and explore this. Okay, so these are the information that we are getting, right? You have the query. Now in the query, you have one of the location is Devon. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, England. And you'll find that a lot of them have no data, right? If you scroll down and see, you might find that some of them might not have data. So query, another one is Southeast. So this is what we are interested in, the query, right? Now let's move on to the next node. What is happening after this is we are simply passing it on as an HTTP request, the query, that is the address or the string. And here we are passing it on to the here API, right? Because we're going to make a GET request where we're going to pass this query into the API request, and we're going to pass our API key, right? Now, how it's going to look like, right? Now, this is our geocoding API, and this is the link to it. I'm going to share it. You can check this out. I'm going to share it in the chat. And I'm going to build one of the query, and we'll pass the location and we'll pass the API and see how response looks like. So basically, we are making this call, the API call, and then we're going to handle the response, or we're going to pass the response and take out the information that we require, which is the latitude and longitude, right? So I have already created one link for this. So this is your API key. Oh, sorry, this is your API request, that is geocode, right? And what you need to do is you need to pass a query here. Tell me an address, Sam, which I can use here. Any address of Australia.
Let's say 123 BURKE.
Sorry?
BURKE Street. Yeah, Melbourne. Come on, Melbourne, Australia.
Okay, let's see this. So to make this request, I hope the API key work. Okay, I have this invalid API key. I'm going to change this. Simply paste the API key that we acquired here. Let's send the request. Okay. Now this is what basically is happening in the NodeRED, which I'm showing you in Postman. You can try it out in the browser, right? And I'm going to share this with you. You can simply copy it in the chat, and you can run it in your browser. You don't have to have Postman for this. Okay. Although Postman is an amazing application which helps us a lot in making these calls and testing them. So if you look at this, this is the address that we are getting, the hit that we are getting, and you get a lot of information about this. Like what kind of result we are getting. It's basically a house number, right? If you scroll down, you'll get the address, the detailed address, which you can basically pass. You can use any language and you can take out the information, useful information, and you can create a proper structure for yourself. Right? Information that we're getting is that it's in Victoria, like city Melbourne, district Melbourne, street name, and postal code. Now, the information that we are interested in NodeRED is the location or the latitude longitude, because if you want to plot an address, or if you want to visualize an address on a map, you have to convert it into latitude longitude, right? That is the only way that you can use, most efficient way, right? Okay, so we need to grab these positions, and that is what we are doing in NodeRED. Let's go back there. If we look at the NodeRED here, first of all, we are converting it into a JSON, right? Everything which we are getting in a string, we're converting to JSON or object into JSON string. And then we have a change here. And this change is basically grabbing the position, right? The latitude and longitude, right? Now, you might get a multiple hit or multiple suggestions for a single address. So what we are grabbing here, we are grabbing the first results. It's up to you which one you want to grab, right? If you look at the postman call, let me scroll this up a bit. You can get multiple hits for this, right? So we are simply grabbing the first one and we're getting the latitude longitude, and we are saving it as a simpler object, that is LNG for longitude and LAT for latitude, right? Let's visualize this. Let's see how it looks like. So I have two debug nodes, which I'm going to enable. I will delete this. This is the latitude. It might take time because many times you don't get the location. Okay, so these are latitudes that we are getting. Okay, simply
So
you can also have
it's
the
like
longitude.
as people are tweeting, it's grabbing the location of the new tweets that are popping, right?
So basically, the tweets that we are getting, if that tweets has the location element into it, say for
Mm-hmm.
example, NSW Australia, we are grabbing it, we are passing it into a geocoding API, and then we are passing the geocoding API to
Yeah.
get the lat long associated with that particular address which have been tweeted, right? And
Yeah.
that is what
So
we
what I'm trying
visualize.
to clarify, Vidan, is that so the Twitter API, sorry, Twitter node that you had in the beginning, so it's sort of a listening tool that is watching whatever tweets that's coming in and has that keyword that we included in the query part. So grabs it and
Exactly.
then passes it through this process. Is that correct?
So yeah, exactly. It is what that is what it is doing. It is basically getting connected to your account. The API key that I've generated is associated with my Twitter account, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So it is grabbing the information in general on a particular topic, which is COVID-19 in our case, and then it is passing it on to us, right? And then we are taking out the values that we want. Now, the Twitter stream, this node is passing out the value as JSON, right?
Yeah.
And we are simply going to the JSON and taking out the values that we require. And we require what? We require location, one. We require the username, two. We require the text that that person is sending, three. These are the three basic things that we will be passing it on to our
All
map.
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
so
if you,
I'm just trying
Mhm.
to clarify a few things as you talk. It might be a bit unclear for the attendees. If anybody has any questions amongst the attendees, please feel free to either post it in the chat and or in the questions sections of the GoToWebinar, and I'll read it out loud for Vedant to answer. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Vedant.
no worries. Any queries, guys, do let us know. Like, we'll be more than happy to answer your queries. And who knows, we might learn something new. Right?
Always.
So we got the latitude longitude, right? Because we have used the here API, that is geocoding, right, which converts your street address or any address into latitude and longitude. We have the tweets. Now what we need to do, we need to create a structure which is going to handle all those things, or we need to package this structure, what we actually require, and then pass it on to the world map, right? So this is what this particular template or node is doing. It's basically a template node. Here we are structuring the information. The information that we are structuring is the username, the person who tweeted, an icon, right? You can change these values, but this is the most basic one. Latitude, longitude that we acquired from here API, and basically the text that we are getting in the tweet. Now, these values, we are saving it again in a payload. Now, this payload is of NodeRED, right? This is not a Twitter payload. Don't get confused here, okay? And it's going to be in a JSON format, right? This format is basically a JSON format. And then we are passing these values to the world map. And we have kept a timestamp that, okay, we want to do this in every interval, right? You can control it, right? It's up to you. Another thing that we are passing it on is basically in the bottom node is how do you want to see information on a map? Like you want to see grid? Yes. How you want to see? Which color you want to see? You want to see the label? Yes. If you want to see an array in what structure? So it's going to be 5 by 5 array, right? So these two information is something that you need to provide to your world map node, right? Okay. If you look at the world map node, you'll find a lot of interesting information. One, the latitude information that you're passing on, the longitude. So basically, this is where you want your world map to look at, right, to start with. So you want your world map to look at a particular location when you open it. So that is what we are defining here. So this location is basically in Australia, right? -37 latitude and 144 longitude. You can control the zoom level, right? You can control the base map, right? So I'm going to keep it as OpenStreetMap. Let's keep it like that. Okay, and you can pass on a bunch of other informations that you want to control. But these are the most basic one: latitude, longitude, how much you want it to be zoomed from the top view, and what kind of base map do you want to see. Click on done and simply click on deploy. Okay, now it's being deployed, right? Let's check what kind of data we are getting. So I'm going to enable this message and let's see what kind of data we are getting here. And I'm going to delete all these information. So this message is basically what we are packaging in JSON as a payload, right? So this is a payload. We have query, that's the address. We have username, we have text, and we're also passing on here API key, right? That is something that we need to pass on. Sorry, this is basically this template node. Okay, so these are the information that we are passing on, and we are going to further pass it on to world map. Okay, let's see that. Now, if you want to see the world map, all you need to do is you need to copy the URL. Right, I'm going to copy and paste the URL here. You need to delete till.net and simply write world map. You all can see this. Right, I'm going to paste it here and see how it looks like. Okay, so this is the default view that we had. You can move around here. And let's see how the data comes in. I'm going to zoom out a bit so that we can see the data. Now, this is how you'll find the tweets as an icon. Right? If you click on something here, so you can see that it's by Chris Stoney, right? Tweets that Chinese on the, okay, whatever he's tweeting. And after that, we are simply printing on the lat long also, because that is what we had packaged or shown in the payload, right? That we created at the second last node, right? So this is how your complete structure is going to look like. Any queries, guys?
I can't see anything in the chat or question box.
Okay. Okay, let me tell you one very
to see as
interesting thing.
tweets are coming through.
Yeah.
They pop on the screen, and it's amazing how you can create such an application in such short period of time just by dragging and dropping and I guess configuring a bunch of nodes.
And if you leave this screen, or if you leave this structure open for say half an hour, what you can see is basically all the map will be filled, right? You won't find a place to see a map, right?
Yeah,
If you
there are a lot of tweets going
this
around,
way.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me see what's happening in India. So you have something for Australia, all these things. Okay. Now you can change this, right? Okay. If you look at the node again, like if you look at the world map node, you'll see that the base map has a lot of different information mapped by Esri, mapped by National Geographic, and all those things. And you can also add here map here. Okay, right, Sam? You can also add a here map. How you can do it? You can simply go to the library of this world map. Let me show you.
So I guess it's important here to clarify. IBM and here we're both working together at the moment to create a specific node for here map visualization, and
Yes.
it's coming very soon. But in the meantime, if as Vidan mentioned, this tool is completely open sourced, and the nodes that you can see on that you could see, you can go to their specific GitHub repository. For example, Vidan is presenting the NodeRED world map node here, and yeah, so you can go and change it and make the modified. You use the modified version of this node for yourself. So what, as part of this world map, we realized it only a few days ago, so we didn't really have time to modify it and send it back for review to the original developers of this node. But Vidan is going to show you how easily you can just add the here map, which is basically the highest quality base map in the market at the moment. You can just add that and use that instead of OpenStreetMap or other map providers out there.
Yeah, what's the good thing about this is you can add any map actually, right? Okay, so all you need to do is you need to go to this link which I've shared in the chat, right? Now this is something that Sam was able to figure out, right? And what you need to do is you can simply take this out, fork this content out, right? And it's going to look like something like this. Okay. And what you need to do is you have a file called worldmap.js.
Maybe you wanna show it like where in that repository they can find that information first.
Yeah, sure. So you have this world map folder. If you go inside it, you have worldmap.js, right? Okay, I'm going to share the link which you can explore. Now, the interesting thing here is that all the base map that you were able to see here on the NodeRED, it's being called here. Let me search quickly. Yeah. So these are basically, these are leaflet maps, right? Okay, you can simply add these map like this. You simply have to create a variable. You have to pass the object to the tile layer function, which is what kind of map you want to grab and fetch, right? And you can define the attributes to it. And then you have to add it to the base map, right? The map that you want to see, you simply have to add it to the base map, right?
So
Now,
if I can jump in quickly,
sure.
the URL that people can see in that variable line, the HTTPS server ArcGIS Online, that is a map tile service that is provided by the Esri, and you can see we as here technologies, we also have a similar sort of map tile that you can actually use for creating one of these services that the leaflet can visualize in their world map. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. And the attribution that Vidan mentioned is basically the text that you will see underneath the map that says copyright, let's say here Technologies 2020. So people know who basically has these map. That's, sorry to jump in quickly. I just wanted to clarify a bunch of things.
Now, so what we did, me and Sam, basically, right, is we edited this, right, and we included here map into it, right? And the link that you have are shared in the chat. All you need to do is you need to provide the app ID and app code, right? And you can keep the attribution simple, right? Save it, and let me show you how it looks like. I'm going to go to the folder where it is basically, and I'm going to start the index.html. Now this is running on my local machine. You can see that the location, the address in the browser is of my system, right? Okay, now here, I'll have to move this a bit. Yeah, if you click on the right top, just below the hamburger icon, you can see you can change the layer, and here it is the here layer that we try to add. This is how it looks like. And you can see at the right bottom, you have the attribution that we mentioned there in the code. So it's quite
Yeah.
easy to add your own map into this world map also.
Yeah, and just to add to what Vidhan mentioned, this is only one of the styles out of many styles of maps that we provide. So this is what it's called. It's a normal.day. You can
Yep.
create a night mode or like like a very bare base map, or you can basically mix and match stuff. And if you're interested, like you can create map tiles that show our freely available live traffic layer, for example, and visualize it on a specific map. So Vidhan is changing it to the night mode, for
Yeah.
example.
So this is the night mode. All I did is I changed one thing there, right? Or you can change it into a satellite mode, right? So
Yeah.
I changed day into night. Let me confirm it, if it works like this, or do I need to remove normal? Sorry.
Probably satellite wouldn't work, Vidhan. Maybe let me
Let's
just.
check.
I have the link. Let me just quickly check.
Simply try it once. See. Okay. So you
I'm
can
gonna share it
basically
with
edit
you
this.
on our WebEx chat. So maybe grab it from there, and you can
Okay.
paste. Yeah. So yeah, when you go to our developer portal, there are base URLs and for different map tiles and different map services that we have. Make sure that you choose the right one, because yeah, the base services, the base URL for services are quite different. It depends on what service you're after, and you can pick the right one. Did you see it,
Okay. Let
Vidhan?
me try it out. So I'm going to change this into what Sam has suggested. Let's reload this. Oh, I'll have to change the complete link. No, just a second.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
paste the
it
entire
has
thing.
2.18, right? Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's try this out. Oh, wonderful. So this is basically the satellite view. Uh, I'm going to refresh this.
Sometimes your computer plays
My
up.
computer is bad.
Try zooming in. Probably
Let's zoom.
it's cached the stuff.
Um,
Yeah, we need to get you a better computer, Vidhan.
Vidhan agrees. Okay. So that is one of the things that you can do with the world map. We can explore it more right later. Let me tell you, what if you want to see a map, right? But you don't want to go through all these things, right? You simply want to have a map on NodeRED, and you simply want to see how it looks like, right? You don't want to play with today's API. You don't want to include anything else. You simply want to show a map on your browser or on your website or on your NodeRED application. So I'm going to hide this, right? So for that, all you need to do is you need to have these three nodes, right? We call it nodes, right? First node is your HTTP in, which is going to handle the HTTP request. And the last node is HTTP out, which is going to handle the output. And in between, we have a node called template, right? Now, template node is basically a node through which you can show an HTML page, right? Now, if I double click on the in node, you'll see that you have a get request and the URL is /here. You can change that URL, it's up to you. And if you see the out, then we are not going to change anything because we don't want to have any particular output. We simply want to see a map on a browser. Now, all the magic, all the good things are happening in the middle node. And if you double click on this, you'll get the information or basically a HTML page. So what we have done is basically we have pasted the complete HTML page here, right? Now, what it contains in the header tag, it contains the mapping library, which is basically in JavaScript. So these are your here mapping library, right? So any particular map you work with, if you want to include it in your HTML, you need to have the library for it. That will be always in JavaScript. So it works in similar way for all the mapping libraries. And if you scroll down, you'll find that in the body, we simply have a container, you can say that, where we want to see the map. And then all the good things are happening in the script tag, right? Because JavaScript is kind of a soul for your websites and HTML, right? Okay, now what this JavaScript is doing is basically showing a map on this particular location, right? And probably a marker which can be clicked, right? Okay, we'll have to check that. I'm going to click on deploy, and we simply have to change this. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to change it into .NET/here. Now, this is a very simple map that you can work with. Now, this is a day map, and you can change the style here, right? You can go with the map view. You can go with the satellite view. Right? I prefer satellite view because it feels more real in a way, right? Because I can see the trees, I can see the roads, I can see the buildings. Let's go to the satellite view. Okay, let's start with that. Now, the location here that I have mentioned is where I am right now, right? Which is in India, in Indore. Sam, do you have any particular lat long that you want to see?
Doesn't really matter. I guess this communicates the concept.
Okay. So this is basically how you can simply run a basic map.
Yeah, so what I guess from an end user point of view, when we're developing this application, you can, instead of using the world map node, you can create your flow and everything. And before you show it to the user, you can instead create an HTTP response, which is that end node point, that and create a map in it alongside all the other information that you want to create. For example, if you're building a dashboard, so you will have other text in the web page, and then there's a map area that you want to show it, and then you can program it and grab all the information that you had through you created throughout the workflow, and then visualize it on the map for people to see. That is the simplest use case that I can think of it on. Probably it would help people to get a better grasp of it, like to differentiate what is the world map node would do, and as opposed to an HTTP endpoint.
Yeah, you're right. Now, if you talk about the use case, right? If you talk about the further use cases,
Yeah.
the best use case or the one of the thing which is associated with NodeRED is IoT, Internet of Things. So if you want to build something, if you want to prototype, then NodeRED is the quickest way of doing it because you can handle the API calls here. You can also add your devices. You can mimic your devices, right? So that works very well. And whenever you talk about IoT, you talk about where your asset is, where your basically device is, and then comes picture of location technology, and in which we are the leaders, right? So when you talk about IoT, then you have to talk about the location. You have to talk about location intelligence. That is something that you should explore and you should try to get into, right? Yep, that should be all from me.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you very much, Vidhan. I guess we're getting pretty close to the end of the webinar. I don't really have much else to add. Let me share my screen.
Sure.
Change to presenter, back to myself. Have my email. Can you see my screen, Vidhan?
Yes, I can see your screen, the hands-on.
Oh, okay, cool.
Block.
So I guess like whoever one of you that who missed this section and joined later, you can pause on this part and grab the URL and explore this yourself based on the explanations that Vidhan provided earlier. And oops, sorry about that. And yeah, so with that, I guess we get to the question and answer section. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to post it on the question section or chat section, and I'll read it out loud and yep, we can answer. Otherwise, you can contact myself or Vidhan using our emails, which is on the screen. And yeah, we can answer any questions that you may have later on. I'm going to give it a minute if anybody wants to post any questions. Yeah, in the meantime, like we're hoping that the session was useful for you, and you learned something new, and something that you can use to either build quick applications or a prototype or something useful for the company or the group that you're working with. Like it's so easy to use it, and it's very interesting how quickly you can build dashboards using this particular tool. Yeah. All right, Vidhan, I can't see any questions.
Yep.
With that, I can quickly thank everybody who joined the session, and also the people who will watch this video offline. Thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you had any questions, please feel free to email us, and yeah, we will see you in sometime in 2021. Hopefully, we will have less problems in 2021, and yeah, we're going to come back with more exciting stuff in the new year. You take care and stay safe, and thank you again, Vidhan,
Thank you,
for your great demonstration, and yeah, see you next time.
See you guys. Stay safe.
Okay.
Take care.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
bye.